Are we legal? Is everybody ready?
Yes, sir.
Let me call to order and welcome you to the Tuesday, November 13th meeting of Mount Pleasant Town Council. Here where we said we would be when we said we would be here, and it's good to see all of you here this evening. We will start off with a prayer by Chaplain Doug Farmer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Mayor Pro Tem Councilman Gary Santos. Please stand.
I invite you to join me in prayer. Eternal and gracious God, we come before you this evening with hearts of gratitude and hearts full of grief. We give gratitude tonight as we see the young Special Olympians here for recognition. And we give gratitude for the fact that not only are we recognizing their accomplishments, but we're giving thanks for the joy that they bring into so many lives each and every day. The examples of kindness and sheer joy that we see on their faces are certainly traits that we should emulate in our lives. And Lord, our hearts are still full of grief. We feel a collective grief across this country for the death of the 11 people who were killed as they worshiped in Pittsburgh, for a black couple who were killed because of their skin color while they shopped in a grocery store. And this week, we give our heartfelt thanks for the firefighters in California who are helping so many people. So many deaths, over 40, and 6,000 homes have been destroyed. So many lives have been affected. Lord, thousands of years ago, your prophet Micah was asked, what does the Lord require of us? And he had a simple response: love, justice, seek mercy, and walk humbly with him. And your son Jesus told us that the two greatest commandments were love you with all our heart, soul, and mind, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. Lord, I pray that you will soften hearts that have been hardened by the power consumption of the world, and that we will listen once again for your words to bring kindness and love back into our lives. All this we ask in your most precious name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Item number 3 is compliance with the Freedom of Information Act. Mr. Pagliarini, are we in compliance?
Yes, Mayor, we're in compliance.
Thank you very much. Item number 4 is approval of the agenda. Mr. Bustos?
I have a motion. I'd like to move that we amend the agenda and move item 11A3, which is the building permit allocation system, up to 7A.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second to move item 11A3, building permit allocation, up to item 7A. That would mean that we would begin discussing that before we get into all the planning items that we have. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the motion to move that item up to 7A signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. So we now have an amended agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the agenda as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have an approved amended agenda. Item number 5, public hearings, awards, and presentations. First, Mr. Ulma will lead us in a public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. This first public hearing is a request to change our comprehensive plan, future land use plan map, from its current community conservation designation to commercial. This is approximately 2 acres of land, and it consists of 4 parcels, and there are associated annexation and rezoning requests. The property is located here on Highway 17 North, between 17 North and Old Georgetown Road. just north of where Long Point Road intersects and tees into Highway 17. And again, our plan calls for community conservation for future land use, and the property is outside the town limits, and ultimately the request would be to annex. So with that, I'll turn it over to you to conduct the public hearing, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone from the public here to address this item in the public hearing? Anyone at all? All right, there being no public comments, we will declare this portion of that public hearing closed. Recognition and remembrance of public servants and awards and presentations.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Would you and council members please join me up front? Okay, good evening. Would the family of Mary Julia Royale please join me up front? I'm going to go ahead, members of council, ladies and gentlemen, and read a proclamation issued by Mayor Haney. Earlier it states, whereas Mary Julia Campbell Royal was born in the upstate of South Carolina on December 30th, 1925, and whereas Miss Royal received a Bachelor of Arts degree from Erskine College in 1945, and after receiving a fellowship at the University of South Carolina, received a Master of Arts in English Literature, as well as certifications in musical supervision and organ performance. And whereas Miss Royal served on the staff of the Brevard Music Center and as a music teacher at Montreat College. After her marriage to Jervie Dupree Royal, she continued sharing her love of music by giving recitals, private piano lessons, serving as the director of glee clubs at Moultrie High School and College Preparatory School, and several churches. And whereas Miss Royal also served as Mount Pleasant's historian for over 20 years, was a founding member of the Town of Mount Pleasant Historical Commission, and was recognized as the inaugural recipient of the Commission's Cresco Historical Stewardship Award. And in honor of her work with the town's history, the Sons of Confederate Veterans named a park after her. And whereas Mary Julia Campbell Royal published 2 popular histories of Mount Pleasant, the Victorian Village, and Mount Pleasant, the Friendly Town, served as president of the Confederate Memorial Association for many years, and president of the Christ Church Parish Preservation Society since 1996. And whereas Mary Julia Campbell Royal remained active until she was called home, always with a project in mind, keeping the history of the town of Mount Pleasant alive for future generations. Now therefore I, Will Haney, Mayor of the town of Mount Pleasant, hereby express the gratitude of the town of Mount Pleasant for the hard work and dedication of Mary Julia Campbell Royal for her dedication to the historical preservation of the town she loved.
I think members that served with her on the commission here, historical commission, thank y'all for being here. What a tribute. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the Veterans Day proclamation. Council members, ladies and gentlemen, I will read the proclamation that Mayor Haney issued just yesterday in recognition of Veterans Day. Proclamation, whereas during National Veterans Month, we salute and pay tribute to the brave and dedicated veterans who have worn the uniform of the United States of America and celebrate their selfless service and sacrifice to make our military the best in the world. And whereas our veterans, men and women, represent the best of America and have answered the call to defend our country and freedom for generations with courage and pride, to face danger and uncertainty. And whereas, as President Ronald Reagan once said, America's debt to those